Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm officially back. Yay. Oh, jeez, I hate my life. Anyways, roll the intro. Intergeneric, hey guys, here, welcome back to another episode of the final Famitsu article review. Now, I'm not gonna hold you guys. If I can find something, wouldn't it be cool if I go back and like look at certain Famitsu articles? Like, what if I looked at the very first one? I don't know, I think that'd be kind of cool to do. I don't know, but there's a lot. This is number 640, so that would be quite the project to like go back every like 10 Famitsu articles and like look it up. I don't even know if they're recorded or like any, I don't even know where to find them, like begin to find them. But like I was thinking like that would be a cool idea to go through a majority of the Famitsu articles. Throughout Ultimate, we've been kind of going through a little, I've missed a few here and there, but for the most part, I've gone through pretty much all the ones that I would say interest me and I think would interest y'all for the channel. So I don't know. But anyways, we have one final article left to go through, and I think we should just get right into it. You guys already know the drill. Shout out PushDustin and Kody NOKOLO for the translations. I'm gonna be reading them off their Twitter accounts, and I'll have their Twitter accounts linked in the description, and on top of that I'm gonna have the Famitsu article linked in the description as well, that for this specific one. So if you guys want me to go check that out, you guys can. And yeah, so that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now this is gonna be a very long one because this is the final one, and he's gonna go through everything, if I'm not mistaken, of how it's structured. So let's just get into it. Alright. First, it says Sakurai starts off by stating that the time in between projects is the most peaceful. He can do what he likes and mentions that he wants to go on a trip. Don't we all? I mean, yeah, it is. I can definitely see that 100%, especially recently. I can 100% see that. Yeah, 100% Cali. The first question is about Sora's position in the Smash ballot. There were tons of votes from all over the world. However, Sora quickly became the most requested character. And I think I actually talked about that in the Sora video. I covered the Sora Famitsu article for people who probably didn't get that far in the video. We covered about everything about Sora in that. So if you guys want to see that in more detail, we'll see what happens. But Sakurai does go in a bit more detail about Sora, so we'll keep it moving. Can you tell us a bit more about Sora's concept? In Kingdom Hearts, Sora doesn't really fight on the ground that often. He mostly fights in the air. I wanted to replicate that in Smash. For the other DLC fighters, they don't have aerial combat, so I figured I should prioritize that with Sora, which is definitely an interesting point. I definitely would compare Sora to someone like Jigglypuff. I don't think we've had a character that really dominates the air like that since like Jigglypuff or Meta Knight or something, like someone who's actually someone that primarily focuses on aerial mobility. So I thought that was really interesting to go that route. And yeah, Sora really isn't on the ground that much. I mean, except in like the very first game where, you know, he's running around in the air, but even then mostly he's more mobile on the air than he is the ground in that game. So I think they did a good job of replicating that in Smash Bros and replicating a lot of his moves as well. Definitely a cool thing about Sora there. I thought that was really interesting. And yeah, it does distinguish him from the other fighters, especially like Kazuya. Coming off of Kazuya, who's a character that was primarily a grounded fighter, getting something completely opposite to that was a really cool contrast. So yeah. Now Sakurai also said, in fact, in the original plan for Smash Ultimate, there was some consideration for adding smash attacks in the air. It was too complicated, so it didn't get added. I think aerial combat is important, but the options for aerial attacks are quite limited. Yo, imagine, that would have been so fire. Okay, so in Smash Ultimate, there was actually like a thing for, you know, aerial attacks, which I think would be interesting. I mean, it definitely would change some meta. I think they should have done something like that, because I feel like with Smash Bros, it is such a simple game, you know, you don't really do much in terms of that, but I think having smash attacks in the air would be cool. But I understand why it would be complicated. I mean, how would you even initiate it? Whereas on the ground, it makes sense, because, you know, as that like hold mechanic, the charge mechanic, that would make sense there. But I don't know, I think that'd be cool. That'd be fun. Maybe they should have just done that with Sora and Sora alone, similar like how they do the Inkling, like you press shield the B to kind of get your pain up. But I don't know. I just thought that was really interesting. Like, golly. The more skilled the player is, it seems the more they use aerial attack. I decided against it because I felt like Smash Ultimate was able to keep the balance between casual and hardcore players. Sora's concept was to make aerial fighting fun even for casual players. Okay, yeah, I mean that makes sense because your goal is to hit people off the stage, and when you're trying to do that, you need aerial moves in order to do that. I would say aerial moves are actually more important than grounded moves, which I think is why Little Mac doesn't work in the format of, oh, he's amazing on the ground but horrible in the air. That's why Little Mac is so like down in the I was also in charge of Sora's reveal trailer. Once I read over the guidelines provided by Disney, I came up with a plan in about 90 minutes. In the original concept, Mario would have swung a Keyblade to open the door, but because only Keyblade wielders can use a Keyblade, it was changed to its current form. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I did hear about this, that Mario was planning to wield the Keyblade, and I mean technically he did wield it. I mean, I don't know how you explain. I mean, it literally, he threw it, so he technically did. So from what I can tell, it seems like Disney was very, very meticulous about like what they could do with Sora, I guess. So I don't know. It freaking makes sense. So now, from what it seems they're now getting into like territory of talking about the first couple fighters, you know, Fighter Pass 1, we're going back to memory lane, which I think is really cool. Joker's concept was a difficult time for Sakurai as the base game was just being finished. In addition, Sakurai had to decide on a general plan for DLC like graphics and animation. Arsene fighting with Joker also doubled the work. For Smash Fighters, Sakurai poses figures for all their moves because of Arsene. Joker was posed with 2 figures. And it showed an image of how, I guess, they would work in terms of posing. This looks like some JoJo type joint, but alright. But it is really interesting talking about like the general plan for DLC, like graphics and animation, what was planned out. And I don't know, such a stylistic character like Joker, I feel like is a very bold choice for a first fighter, if you really think about it. Because Joker is so stylistically distinct, you have to do certain things with his character, like, you know, the red black background in order to get like him down to a science, if that makes any sense. I just think it was really cool. But yeah, no, I mean, if I had to reflect on who my favorite character was, it's been to add, I don't know, actually never mind, you don't care, let's move on. For the hero, Sakurai was excited to have the Dragon Quest in Smash. At first he thought the hero wouldn't be voiced, but in Dragon Quest oh, okay, it's 11S. Okay, and 11S. At first he thought that hero wouldn't have to be voiced, but in Dragon Quest 11 a voice was added. So they worked with Square Enix. Oh, I'm stupid. So they worked with Square Enix to include official voices and names for each hero. Okay, so that was hero. Like I said, some background information on that. That's interesting. I mean, in the original Dragon Quest 11, did they not have voice acting? I don't know. But anyways, continue with Banjo-Kazooie. Sakurai, in the fighter's ballad, Banjo-Kazooie followed Sora. So this is basically saying that Banjo-Kazooie got the second highest amount of votes. Sora had the first because Sakurai confirmed in the presentation dedicated to Sora that Sora was actually the most requested character like ever, which stays consistent with back in when he revealed Bayonetta, where he said that each fighter among the most realistic and realizable characters that they can get in the span of time. You know, they only had a few months to do it, to kind of get the character in, so it makes sense with the Bayonetta thing. I actually really would like to see the ballot. I don't know, since Ultimate's over now, I would understand like at the end of Smash 4, because especially if you're using ballot potential fighters for Ultimate, I would understand, but I don't really want to see the ballot. I really want to see the ballot, like who got who, but I don't know. Their concept was 2 fighting as 1. Wonder Wing is a move that's unique to them too, as it's the only move that can be used up to 5 times. Because of that, it's very strong. Banjo-Kazooie also featured the first arrangement from outside of Japan with Grant Kirkhope, who worked on the original music for the game. Shout out Grant Kirkhope. He's a freaking phenomenal musician, bro. So the interviewer said, I was happy to see the similarities in Banjo's fighter trailer to Ken K. Rool's. And then Sakurai retorted, well, not retorted, but he responded saying, it was not only enjoyable, but it helped keep the cost of production down. The real trailers are more expensive than people imagine. I mean, I can imagine having an entire 4-minute CGI trailer is pretty expensive, especially something like Sephiroth's trailer or Hero's trailer. Trailers that like have a lot to it, it would cost a lot of money to make them CGI. I greatly appreciate the CGI trailers. The only one I didn't like was Byleth, because Byleth was boring as hell, dog. but either way. Also, it's really interesting seeing the concept for Banjo-Kazooie as 2 fighting as 1. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense. Okay. Next is Terry. Bandai Namco produced his reveal trailer. There was a scene with geese that was taken from Fatal Fury 3. The person in charge of that trailer also worked on the game Genpai Tomaden. What? Excuse me? You just cursing me? What the hell is that? Genpai Tomaden is a side-scrolling hack and slash produced by Namco that was released as a coin-operated game and Sakurai's goal was to make the coolest Terry Bogard ever. There might have been some younger fans who didn't know Terry, but that wasn't important. It was vital that they could understand the character through Smash. That is true. Like, I knew about like Terry and like that, but the only thing I knew was the design, like, was familiar. So, I mean, I think they did a really cool job of making him cool. He's a pretty cool guy, and it makes sense towards like his design, how he looks. That's how he would like portray himself. It makes sense. Makes sense to his character. And I've never played King of Fighters or anything, or Fatal Fury. Hey man, same man, it makes sense. And Violet! There was an exclamation mark there. When development started on them, Three Houses wasn't released yet. Even with their development build, it took Sakurai a lot of time to get through the game. When Sakurai played, it was top secret. Other employees couldn't see his screen, and he couldn't bring that build of the game home. So that makes sense. I mean, Violet's a whole other can of worms. I guess, you know, self-reflecting on that, I remember a lot of people didn't like Violet, like, at all. Even though the reason that he got in was because Japan wanted him in. But, you know, people were too dumb to realize that, and they were like, oh man, no one wanted this character. Man, no one wanted him, which is not true, but you know, no one wanted him. I think out of Fighter Pass 1, out of the characters, I think my favorite character to play as would probably be like Hero, honestly. My favorite character in general that was added to the roster, I would say Banjo. So now we get to Fighter Pass 2, where we talk about Min Min. Springman was an assist trophy because he couldn't make it into the base game as a fighter. For a DLC character, Sakurai felt that long arms were the key to making a fighter who feels like they were from arms. Well, that makes sense. I guess it's kind of weirdly phrased, but alright. Now, I don't know if I read this in the Min Famitsu article I did a very long time ago, but I'm pretty sure Sakurai was actually thinking about including like Ninjara. I'm pretty sure, like Ninjara, and like he was going through all the fighters and whatnot. And I know a lot of people were saying Springman should be part of it. I'm glad they chose Min. I'm glad they didn't choose Springman, because that would have been, I don't know, it wouldn't have been boring, but it would have been kind of weird. And I think Min Min's cooler anyway. Like, a cooler design, she's cooler looking, one of the coolest characters in the game. And honestly, like, arms, while Springman is kind of the poster boy, once again, especially towards the beginning, makes sense. Min Min has become so much more iconic in terms of like arms. I don't know, man. No one cares about that Frankie wannabe. No, I'm kidding. For Steve/Alex, adding the code for blocks on every single stage was quite tough and took some time. Enderman also caused some trouble as they blended in with dark backgrounds. Sakurai made multiple quizzes asking the staff where Enderman was located on various screenshots. That's it's kind of messed up. Honestly, I don't really know there's much I can add with Steve with this. I mean, we already knew that, you know, every single stage was annoying, probably very meticulous, and, you know, definitely probably took some time. But like I said, it just goes to show how much Sakurai is willing to do to get as much of the characters they can, as, you know, as possible. I mean, there was probably some kind of shortcut Sakurai could have used, but no, he went to every single stage to just do that. It's dedication. Like, you have to, even if you don't like Smash Bros or anything, you have to admit, like, the work Sakurai puts into his work is very crazy. It's something that not a lot of people can do. I'll just say that. Next is Sephiroth. His appearance in Advent Children was an important base. Sakurai was worried about the reach of his sword, but figured if Min Min was okay, Sephiroth would be doable. He worried about balancing, but wanted to make sure Sephiroth left a strong impression. That he did. I'll just say that he did. I still think Sephiroth is one of the coolest. Like, he has such a cool demeanor to him. I don't know, there's something about him that I like. I just like the sauce. The Sephiroth sauce. I like the Sephiroth sauce. And I really do like how he was handled in the game. I'm glad they didn't like have to nerf his sword or anything, considering that Min Min is 2 different like projectiles or whatever. You know, Sephiroth, as long as the moves weren't too fast, it would make sense. But yeah, no, I like that. You know, we got Melee Marth in the game. It's fire. For Pyra and Mythra, Sakurai wanted Rex to appear with them at first, but it didn't work out due to hardware limitations. Their costumes are pretty detailed, so just the two of them push the game's limit. Smash Ultimate should consistently run at 60 FPS. Having Pyra and Mythra appear in 8-player Smash was difficult. If Sakurai had to pick one, he would have picked Pyra. There were several other considerations to make their fighter work, like one that was just Rex, Pyra with Rex sometimes, just Pyra, etc. I'm glad they ultimately end up doing what they end up doing. I noticed in Fighter Pass 2, Sakurai really wanted to kind of push the boundaries, especially with Fighter Pass 2, of like what he could do to kind of make sure the character is as accurate as possible. Obviously Pyra and Mythra, he didn't end up succeeding with that, but it's still cool to me how Pyra and Mythra, how he wanted Rex to be a part of the moveset. He wanted it to be as close to the games as possible. The same thing for Arms, put a lot of dedication, and the moveset of that character is so strange compared to the typical fighter. The same goes with Steve. Sephiroth was just cool to have in general. So I mean, you know, there's a lot of effort going into these Fighter Pass characters that I really do appreciate. For Kazuya, Sakurai wanted to capture the 3D fighting game spirit. If the fighter wasn't Kazuya with his devil gene, Tekken wouldn't work in Smash. For example, if it was Heihachi, what would be his up B? Nothing? Sakurai felt really fortunate to have settled with Kazuya. I mean, it wouldn't be nothing. What? Alright, fair enough. Sakurai explained that in the video where he talked about Kazuya, how much attention to detail he put in with Tekken. And this is another thing I'm talking about. This is it's another example of Sakurai trying to take Fighter Pass 2 as big as he can, basically. So I think that was really cool that he was able to do that, but yeah. For the Sakurai Presents videos, they came up after Joker's introduction video cost a lot of money and time to make. Nintendo came up with the idea of Sakurai presenting the fighter. Each character would introduce something unique, so it was important for them to have presentation. Sakurai mentioned that, you know, with the fighter passes, I believe I covered that as well. I think the Sakurai Presents was one of the smartest things Sakurai could have done, because not only did it cost less money to produce and less time and effort and whatnot, but I think it also kind of had like a homely aspect to it, and it shows that sometimes you don't need this insane studio and whatnot to. I mean, Sakurai had a studio, but even the ones where he was at home, just chilling at home, it sufficed. And I think it was interesting to see Sakurai in his house explaining the characters. I just think it's a lot more homely in terms of getting to know Sakurai, I guess, if it makes sense. Also, Sakurai showed a lot of his personality in those trailers or those videos, so I really do appreciate the Sakurai Presents. I enjoyed how they did Jokers. It was entertaining, but I felt like the Sakurai Presents were more entertaining, and like I said, I did a whole video about it, so I ain't gonna talk about it too much. But anyway, when it came to balancing, it was important to keep the features that made each character unique and not to eliminate their weaknesses outright. Sakurai believed it was best not to eliminate characters' strong points, just to add other weaknesses to compensate. They have a picture of Dedede on here, so I mean, like the side B, I guess, is an example of that, I guess. But I understand what he's saying. It's also hard to balance a game when all the characters you have are from pre-established franchises, and add that on top of the fact that you want to be as close to the source material as possible. Sometimes things like Arms, for example, you know, and that comes with the creative challenge of trying to figure out exactly how you would handle certain characters compared to others. But like, for example, like Street Fighter would be pretty easy to balance because they're making new original characters for their series, so they're able to balance it with design aspect. But with Smash Bros, you have to keep in mind that these characters, once again, are already pre-established, and the design aspect of those characters are also already established, and on top of that, the game and how they play is already established. So you kind of just have to adapt, and you have to work your way with trying to figure out how each character works. I hope that makes sense. Like, for example, I guess a hard character to balance is Little Mac, right? Little Mac comes from Punch-Out, and Punch-Out's all about like the weak link winning. So in this case, he's a weak link. You know, he's bad on the ground, but good. I said bad on the ground. The concept for him was good on the ground, but horrendous in the air. And the air is where, like Sakurai said, is where most skilled players are going to utilize. Like, aerial combat is very important in high-level play. So, with that being said, he was obviously going to be one of the worst characters in Smash Bros. But I feel like that was kind of on purpose. But then you have to keep in mind that that's his whole character. He's an underdog. So, you have to have that underdog moveset in the game. You have to have him purposely be not the best, if that makes sense, to match Little Little Mac's character. I guess Dragon Quest is also a good example, the hero, where you had to add the command prompt. And you wouldn't have to do that if you could just add an original character, but in this case you have to. So yeah, that's kind of what I thought of that whole shebang. On top of that, you have to keep in mind, this is one of the biggest rosters in like fighting game history. So balancing all of them is the juggling act at that point. Then you have to take in mind glitches and whatnot. It's a lot. So you can tell how stressful it is. It makes a lot of sense. Sakurai and the team had to imagine a wide variety of players and play styles. That's another thing. With normal fighting game, you not only have original characters you can balance other fighters with, which makes sense, but then on top of that, you also have the aspect of casual players are not playing Street Fighter. Well, I mean, they are, but like, that's not the target audience. The target audience is people who have dedicated their time to playing the game. And once again, as we continue into the modern era, I guess you could say, makes sense that you would promote your game towards a casual audience, have a way for casual people to get into the series, because casual market is huge. This Smsh Bros game is more for casual audiences more than competitive aspects. It's just you can play competitive. It's kind of an opposite effect than games like Street Fighter and Tekken and stuff. And then finally, I have a link. Kody said you can find the rest of his interview about the future Smash series and PushDustin's translation on All Source Gaming. So this is going to be talking about the last part, which is probably the one that everyone talked about, which is the final, is there going to be a sequel? That's the main question, the main squeeze people wanted to know. And this is essentially what it said. I'm going to read the interviewer and then Sakurai will respond. The interview Sakurai, it's kind of the standard. But anyways, the interviewer says, with the release of Smash Ultimate, you've taken the series as far as it can go, and the amount of content in the game couldn't be more. I know it's difficult to answer this question, but is it even possible to follow up Smash Ultimate? Sakurai said, Massacre! Sakurai says, first off, I'm not thinking about making a sequel. That said, this is my thought process with every installment of Smash Bros. I'll always think that this will be the last Smash Bros I will ever make, and yet I've continued to make new installments. In that sense, I can't definitively say that this is the last Smash. There's any number of possibilities in the future, and there is the possibility for a future Smash Bros. However, it's clear that we have reached our limits in many ways, and we'll need to think about whether it's worth disappointing fans by cutting down on the number of fighters and other content just in order to release the next installment. I think there's obviously going to be a new Smash game. It makes too much money. Nintendo's going to do it regardless. Once again, I think I said this before, but in Brawl, they made the trailer. They started off like the series, and asked Sakurai after they revealed it at E3. They're going to make the game with or without Sakurai's help. Regardless, it's a franchise that makes a crap ton of money. It happens. And I think that this is an interesting conversation about like sequels and whatnot, because yeah, Sakurai has said multiple times that he treats every game like it's the last game of the series, which is good because you get the best possible product with that mindset, because you want to finish off strong and not think about, oh man, I guess I could save this for the next one. And I guess that's kind of the double-edged sword there, where what do you do after Ultimate? Like, this is the ultimate Smash game, but you can make so much more. And like I said, I feel like if Sakurai makes the next game, whether it be with him or not, I think there's obviously going to be a spin on it. I think Ultimate's thing of it being the ultimate Smash game, having all these characters in there, I think it's going to be Ultimate's thing, and I think the next Smash game is going to focus on something else. But I don't know, this is just me. I think there are a lot of fans who would like to see a new entry to Smash under your direction. On the other hand, in one of your past columns you wrote, in order for a series to continue for decades, some believe you must do away with the individualization of its creation. And then Sakurai says, as is the case with many series, it's important to consider whether there is someone who can take over when the original creator is no longer around. The other day, Takao Saito, the creator of Golgo 13, passed away. Oh, rest in peace. Oh my gosh. And it was announced that work would continue on the production, but the decision might have been different if it was a manga like Berserk. If you guys don't know, unfortunately, the mangaka of Berserk did pass away. With things, I think in Japan, people really hold their creations like close to them. Like, when you have an idea, when you create something and it's your idea, you have to consider the possibility of you not being able to finish it before you pass away. Smash Bros is something different. Like, they're gonna find a successor no matter what. So, like I said, it's hard. But let me continue reading. Maybe I'm missing something. The more work depends on its authorship, the more difficult it is to ensure its continuation. At the the very least, I don't see any way for Smash Bros to be produced without my involvement. For example, the Challenger Approaching trailers would not have been the same level of quality if it was produced entirely by an outside firm. Also, it's not as if some staff member has been accumulating the know-how of Smash Bros. It would also be difficult to capture the essence of various game titles and combine them into a spec document. For starters, no one other than me has ever served as a director or planned inclusion of new fighters. Given these conditions, I have to seriously consider whether or not the game will succeed if I entrust a job to them. So essentially what he's saying is he going to work on new Smash Bros? He's not even thinking about a new Smash Bros at the moment, but if there was a new Smash Bros, he would find it hard to find someone that could replace him, and it seems like there really isn't. However, I do feel like Sakurai, if you really wanted to, you could teach someone how to do it. There's got to be someone out there that has like the genius mind, a genius mind like that, and maybe they'll have a different mindset that will like take a spin on the series, you know what I mean, in a way that may be controversial, but maybe ultimately is a good thing. Because, you know, Smash Bros has been the same thing since 1999. Over 20 years, the series has been the exact same for the most part. Obviously not in terms of follow, I'm talking in terms of gameplay. It's pretty much like the same thing. It's the same formula of how they have things. Obviously they've added moves, and like from Smash 64 to Melee, they added side B and stuff like that. But for the most part, the gameplay is the exact same every single time. So it would be interesting to see someone get a hold of Smash Bros and be able to kind of have the liberties to make something different, to make a different spin out of it. But like, you know, considering that Smash Ultimate is essentially like Sakurai's magnum opus in terms, like, I think this is his peak in terms of the series. Ultimate has won so many awards. Ultimate has been a crazy ride in terms of its content, and it, like I said, it shows Sakurai's accomplishments with the Smash Bros series all in one, especially since it includes like every single character that has ever been in Smash ever, and on top of that, it includes characters that people deemed were impossible, but Sakurai did. So I feel like, once again, in that way, I feel like it's his magnum opus, whereas the others were kind of lead ups to it, if that makes any sense. But anyways, if someone was able to do all that, then they would be like Superman. Yeah, boring? Yeah, fair enough. To be honest, I'd rather leave it to someone else because it's very hard for me. I've actually tried, but it didn't work out. I may be able to find someone who can make improvements here and there. I don't have a clue who will be able to create content from nothing in the same quality. If the series is to continue, there will have to be a back and forth between me and Nintendo to discuss what form it would take to be successful. So yeah, I mean, it's essentially it's like that. But I don't know. I can make a whole video talking about like this type of thing. But it is interesting to see Sakurai's perspective on this. To see that he has actually tried to, but like to no avail. I wonder how many times he's tried. Like I said, there's got to be someone. I figure there is someone out there that can make at least something akin to the quality that he can make in Smash Bros. But we'll see what happens. Anyways, the interviewer says, "Thank you so much for your time. It's sad to see the interview end, but please leave a message to all the fans of Smash Bros." And Sakurai ends the Famitsu off by saying, "I would like to thank everyone for the support up until now. The reason we've been able to do so many things with the DLC is because of all the people who support it, and I'm very grateful for that. We've created a game that allows you to do a lot of different things, so we hope you'll try whatever you like and not just stick to one thing." And that, my friends, is the end of the article. I think it was very insightful. I think it was cool getting a little bit of background, obviously not a lot, but a little bit of background on some of the other fighters, on some of the previous fighters, on all the previous fighters. And then the last interview talking about whether Smash Bros. Gonna be a sequel. I know it's a hot topic among people. And once again, I understand Sakurai's perspective. I mean, that's like the whole, like, if something, your idea is something that you made, you are obviously going to be the best person to make the idea come true. And this was Sakurai's idea for Sakurai and Iwata's idea for a very long time. Sakurai handing it off to someone else is harder said than done. And I think that's something that people got to realize, that handing off something like that, especially something as successful as Smash Bros, is going to be very hard to do. But once again, I think someone could fill the shoes, the giant Kingdom Hearts ass shoes, Sora ass shoes. I said Kingdom Hearts, yikes. But yeah, I'm interested to see what the future holds. I'll probably make a video on it at some point on how I feel like making a future of Smash Bros would go. I'll probably something like that. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below, because goodness gracious, it's a lot of words. Tell me what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this episode and want to see what else is on the grill, you guys check out this whole playlist in the description below. If you guys want to check out any Famitsu articles that I may have done in the past, I have a whole playlist. I'll link that in the description as well. But yeah, we get out of here. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you guys want more Smash Talk on your plate, we'll keep delivering. And with all that being said, you can put your spatulas down now, but keep it sizzling, my Baconators.